Music has never been a passion for me. I'd always listen to the most popular artists on the radio, and I'd also never find emotion through this form of art. I would just listen to music while doing homework or exercises. I sometimes listen to artists such as Elton John, David Bowie, Queen, Michael Jackson, and the Beatles, but how about the man whose today's video is about? I strangely never associated the name Billy Joel with any songs before very recently. During my childhood, I would always mix them up with Bob Dylan for some reason. Again, I am not a music person. While I was familiar with his most popular songs, I didn't pay attention to who he was and how he influenced music history, like most people do. I came across the singer thanks to my boyfriend, who was already a huge fan of his work. The first song of his I discovered is when we watched the Amazon Prime series The Boys, and we found ourselves captivated by the song, playing it on repeat. Our initial viewing of the video clip was alright, we were not sure if we liked it, although the more we watched it, the more it left a huge impression. As you'll see later on, this is my favorite song of his because of the haunting melody, the interesting lyrics, Billy Joel's voice, and of course the great metaphors portrayed in the clip. Today we'll be talking about the masterpiece that is Pressure, but we'll be delving into an analysis of the video clip and the influence that Billy Joel had and still has on music history.
Does it have we have an 11 button? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's too hot in here.
Before we dive into today's analysis, I strongly encourage you to first experience the music video. Doing so will provide you with a better understanding of my analysis, and it could help you come up with your own interpretation. Also, all the segments of songs and interview moments from Billy Joel's that I've used for this video will be in the description. Finally, if you believe that I may have overlooked an important aspect of Billy Joel's life or of the music video's significance, please let me know. Alright, let's get right to it.
Wait, it's too hot. Can you guys open the windows? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Some love is just a lie of the heart. The core remains of what began with a passionate start. And they may not want it to end, but it will. It's just a question of when.
While this video doesn't aim to present a biography of the artist's life, it's essential to highlight key events from his career that have shaped the essence of Pressure both musically and visually. William Martin Joel, better known as Billy Joel, was born in New York in 1949. His father, a German Jew who found his way to the United States via Cuba during World War II, and his mother, who also had Jewish roots, laid the foundation of his music career by giving him piano lessons. However, their marriage ended in 1957, leading to his father's relocation to Austria when Billy was only 8 years old. Attending Hikesville High School until 1967, he never got his diploma. In fact, he would miss his exams because he would prefer playing piano in bars to support his mother financially. He decides to drop off to pursue a music career inspired by the Beatles, Ludwig van Beethoven, and singer and pianist Ray Charles, who, funny enough, will write and perform a song with in 1986. Unfortunately, the release of his first album in 1971 was a commercial and critical disappointment. This marked the beginning of Billy's battle with depression, a battle that continues to reverberate through his life even today. In the same year, he attempts to end his life by drinking furniture polish. Miraculously, he survived, altering the trajectory of musical history. After a long recovery, he released a second album, and despite modest sales, the track Piano Man will of course become his magnum opus. However, his true glory came in 1977 when he released his album The Stranger, yielding 4 top 25 hits on the Billboard charts. In 1985, at the peak of his influence, he releases You're Only Human as a message to help prevent teen suicide. I beg you to go watch this video clip. I think it's the most 80s vibe I've seen from anything ever. And from then, all his albums have become classics of rock, pop, and jazz history. Anthems like We Didn't Start the Fire, Longest Time, Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, River Dreams, Uptown Girls are one of the most important songs of the 80s. In 1987, during the Cold War, Billy Joel played in Moscow, which probably is his most influential concert ever. Some of you probably saw a clip from this concert, very iconic, where he breaks his keyboard and his microphone. There's so much to say about this trip. I could make a whole video about it, but there's a bunch of articles and even a documentary about the subject, so go check them out. During the 90s, he broke multiple records. With Elton John, they produced a face-to-face tour, making them the longest running and most successful concert tandem in pop music history. In 1999, he received the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame award, and the same year he produced his last album, Fantasies and Delusions. Love that name, by the way. And it contains classical pieces. It's his most underrated work. I'm listening to it right now while making this video, and yeah, pretty good. But Billy Joel's life doesn't end here. While still being successful in 2002 and 2005, his struggle with depression persisted. He went through treatment for alcohol and substance abuse. Nowadays, he seems to be doing much better, still touring all around the world performing the fans' favorite songs. As I speak, he is the 3rd best-selling solo artist in the United States. Billy Joel's struggles resonates with those who encounter his music. But let's go back in time, more specifically in 1982 when he wrote Pressure. As you might tell from the title, it's about the anxiety of everyday life. He got the idea after being told by his secretary that he seemed to be under a lot of pressure. And this song resonates as a reflection of Billy Joel's own struggle in his early life. His parents' divorce, his suicide attempt at 19 years old, and his fear of becoming irrelevant and depressed in a world that constantly demands success. The video clip was directed by Russell Mulcahy, who also directed Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles, aka, for those who don't know, the first music video to be shown on MTV, and most of Elton John's clips such as I'm Still Standing. So Pressure starts with a haunting scene, a solitary house, a couple of dead trees, lots of wind, and bright lightning coming from the sky. Suddenly, the name of the song and artist appears in a vintage horror font close to horror movies. Bam! Just like that. Just this typo brings an intensity that will have much more importance later in the story. Then the camera comes closer to the domicile, almost sneaking in from the window. Every time I watch that part, I always have a weird feeling like I was not welcome here, as if we were trespassing into this man's privacy. We can already have a peek of what's happening inside, a figure in obscurity looking towards a strange light. The camera slowly goes into this house, and that's when we can truly see for the first time a vulnerable character. Here, the man that we will call William from now on, played by Billy Joel himself, watches a flickering screen with a fast successions of images of 20th century, the better and the worst. He seems calm, almost contemplating. The camera slowly moves, almost with hesitation. Slowly but steadily, we come closer and closer to acknowledge how really troubled this man is. We could leave as we are not supposed to be here. What are we even doing here anyway? We could do anything, but we choose to stay. The flickering screen isn't just a television, it's a mirror that reflects what the protagonist is truly thinking. It's an open curtain to a man's reality. He is paralyzed by fear, enhanced by the piano. Also, if you haven't noticed, some words flash on the screen such as happiness, money, mother, work, family, and hate. They all have the same typo as previously, white letters on a darker background. Words that usually evoke joy, such as happiness and family, have the same importance here as negative evoking words, such as hate, putting positivity and negativity on the same pedestal. Then the camera comes slowly towards William to focus on his reaction. At first he's relaxed, but then he moves on his chair in a really weird way. Now, here's the only problem I have with this music video. Billy Joel's acting. Did we really need him to show insanity that way? It's not necessary to show the character's emotional breakdown. We can already see it through the metaphor of the giant screen. It's too theatrical. It looks like a kid who's playing what he thinks a crazy person is in a school play. I think the solution here would have just been to do close-ups of certain parts of his body, showing that he cannot move his hands or showing his wide eyes in distress. Now William pivots again in an exaggerated way, not even noticing the people that have entered his mind. Us. His whole body is facing the opposite wall, while his head remains glued to the screen. The character is incapable of getting away from the world's reality. Further lyrics, basically it's someone telling the singer that his feelings are not anomalous, that anxiety is just something that everybody goes through. These lyrics will have an importance in the video's narrative later on. In this part, William is not in his house but on the street. I like to think that this part of the video clip is what's happening to William while he's thinking about the monstrosities we've seen previously. We see the first symptoms of pressure that resembles a panic attack. The distortion of the passing car mirrors the dizziness of the protagonist. The water falling heavily upon him is the embodiment of a loss of control. And finally, the dog is in perpetual alertness, just like our character feels. The brilliance of the sequence lies in its subtlety. There's no physical reactions on the protagonist's face. Quite the opposite, actually. Here, the panic attacks that we saw in the previous scene as internal are now represented in this external reality. That's also the moment in which the lyrics talk about symptoms, such as, for example, the feeling of having loaded guns in your face. The word pressure here can be associated with fear and paranoia, of course, but also with water. And the pressure of water suffocating William will be the main source of metaphors here in this video. The water on his shoes serves as an impressive transition for this next sequence. Here it shows William sleeping, his bed submerged in the water. When I first watched that scene, I was perplexed. Not because of the water surrounding the protagonist that clearly serves as a metaphor for the pressure that persists even at night. What I was truly confused about was the absence of fear. He's even trying to go back to sleep, trying to ignore those feelings. Also, the visuals in the back amplifies the feeling of claustrophobia the water already gave. It's a really cool detail. It feels like the room expands and shrinks at the same time. The lyrics in the scenes have coherence with a peculiar sentence sending out. You turn the tap dance into your crusade, meaning that his life, that was playful and carefree, is now somehow serious and competitive. Now William finds himself in a really fancy home. While he maintains calm, it's clearly evident that he is bored and would like to be anywhere but here. Unexpectedly, a storm of intrusive thoughts breaches his reality. A girl traversing a window full of water, his coffee leaking, and even him sinking into the floor as if it was quicksand, reaching his hand for help. My interpretation of this is that he's panicking over the fact that his life has become boring and uncheerful. The quick visuals represent his panic and his alertness. My favorite part of the scene is the presence of another character, seemingly struggling with anxiety. However, no one seems to notice him. This character shows that even though lots of people feel such anxiety, it's still widely ignored by most of the population, especially at the time the song was written in 1982. So now let's talk about the lyrics of the sequence, notably the Peter Pan reference. What a strange yet interesting way of describing the help people are trying to provide him. To those unfamiliar with the tale of Peter Pan, the character is the embodiment of an adult who tries to forget his challenges to remain a child. Here, what Billy Joel means is that adults are advising him to forget about his challenges and to adopt a more normal facade. The next verse is a direct answer to the previous one. They have no scars on their face. He thinks that he shouldn't need advice from people who haven't experienced similar traumas as him. We've reached the midway point of the video, yay! And a captivating scene unfolds. A young boy descends from the sky and finds himself in a colossal maze. Some of you might have noticed that this boy is wearing a similar pajama as William from an earlier scene, implying that this boy is a younger version of William. As he tries to find an exit, he finds a TV. similar to the one we've seen previously, an emblem of his anxieties. Could this suggest that William's struggle began at such a young age? This theory makes more sense when knowing what Billy Joel went through at the same age. But it makes even more sense with the lyrics, all grown up and no place to go. It seems that this young child, prematurely confronted with the reality of the world, has been forced to mature. A cool little detail I've noticed is that there is the same claustrophobic feeling in this maze as I like to mention the end of the verse. Firstly, Psych 1, Psych 2, those are psychology courses that can be taken in college. Billy Joel here is questioning through those lyrics whether any of that knowledge is practical in his situation. Secondly, the part where he mentions Channel 13 and Sesame Street is probably the most known verse of the song. The singer here is directly criticizing the people trying to advise him by telling them that their understanding of the world is too limited. It evokes the idea of being exposed to a controlled, childish view of reality through television. Next segment. Now the kid is stuck in the TV asking for help.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Ironic how he asks for help at the same time as the lyrics tell him not to seek for some.
Don't ask for help, you're all alone.
The sequence maintains the idea of a labyrinth, but much bigger and darker. It is now filled with newspapers. Of course, they signify the lost innocence of the boy consumed by the assimilation of the worst of humanity. The old man that we saw previously shows a neutral face, just like the one William showed earlier while looking at the screen. In the distance, an inscription of the word applause written in red. On my first viewing, I didn't understand that part clearly, but upon deeper research, it becomes evident that the character isn't merely ignoring those thoughts. He's actively receiving acknowledgement for doing so. For those unaware, these applause signs were often used during live TV broadcasts, subtly signaling the audience to applaud at certain moments.
It's not unusual to see me cry all the time.
In this context, William is being forced to an appearance of normality. The lyrics here are also very interesting.
But here you are in the night, 2 men out and 3 men.
It's a reference to a baseball game. The ninth indicated the last round, though the most decisive part of the game. 2 men out and 3 men on suggests a high-pressure situation where there are already 2 outs and 3 runners on base. This is a crucial moment where a single hit could change the course of the game. William feels that kind of anxiety constantly. This next part is the most viewed part of the video clip, and rightly so. Here we present contenders for a game show in such a rapid succession. Larry, age 28, Marsha, who's 32 years old, and finally our central figure, William Joel, 29 years old. Then he seems to be winning. The rapid pace of events quickly make us forget about the 2 other participants. The TV show host congratulates him. He's the happiest we've seen him so far. But a question comes to mind. What exactly did he win? Nothing. He won nothing.
Huh?
Let's analyze the description of each participant. Okay, so Larry likes girls, food, and sports. Okay. Marsha likes yoga and disco. And William likes fast bikes, cooking, water sports, and satellites. What sets William apart from the others? He is indifferent. None of them stand out. Why is he winning? Just like the applause sign we've seen previously, this scene means that some people are being pressured into fitting society's norms, just like the character. He's being congratulated, even rewarded for concealing his true self. It's crazy, isn't it? Also, I know it's not relevant here, but I really find Billy Joel's reaction hilarious. He just looks so happy and confused. I don't know, I love it. In this segment, the narrative continues as the game show shifts to a classroom with 10 students all identically dressed, a visual amplification of normality. There's no teacher. The board is filled with information. Little William here is looking at the TV before the class like he's giving some sort of presentation. Then, his attention is seized by another kid having water coming out of his desk. William seems to be the only one seeing this. Again, the water is a metaphor for pressure brought by society.
Hello?
His surprise seems to indicate that he witnessed for the first time someone openly expressing their feelings. But does he do anything to help him? Nope. And I think that's why the sequence then transitions back to adult William paralyzed on that chair. He regrets not helping this kid, just like he regrets having found the TV in the first place. Next up is a 10 seconds flashback that, in my opinion, is the lamest moment of the entire video clip. It encapsulates what we saw 2 minutes ago, which comes out as lazy. I find the idea good on paper, but a 4 minutes and 30 seconds video clip is too short to do those kind of things. Personally, I would have replaced the scene with the character on his deathbed to give a longer lasting impact on the pressure-filled life of William. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We arrive at the culminating sequence of Billy Joel's Pressure. Here we revisit the chorus mentioning again Cosmic Rational and the Peter Pan advice.
I'm sure you have some cosmic rationale. But here you are with your faith and your Peter Pan advice. You have no scars on your face and you cannot handle pressure.
Yet, I asked myself a crucial question on my most recent viewing. Who is he talking to? I've seen a couple of interpretations online, but my favorite asserts that he is talking to himself. He isn't happy with what he has become, an ordinary man trying so hard to be the closest to normality. Billy Joel's eyes here scream with weakness. He looks so tired and yet arrogant. Then, the inevitable happens. He cannot control his pressure without proper help. So William loses to this awful cycle. Once again, the William we learned to love resumes his viewing of the never-ending black and white images. As much as I find the ending truly remarkable, there's clearly a missed opportunity. The camera regresses to capture Billy Joel from behind. Instead, the camera should have focused on his face, the transformation from arrogance to a state of hypnosis. Is the camera going further away because the camera represents a character that doesn't know what to do in this situation? I don't know, I still dislike the singer's weird gestures again.
What are you aiming at? What are you aiming at?
Then the video concludes with Billy Joel's resounding cries of
1, 2, 3, 4.
At 1, we see young William. At 2, adult William takes his place. And at 3, we see William as an old man. However, at 4, there's nothingness, leaving us with this last metaphor. In the end, pressure will be all that's left of humanity. No happy ending here. Before I conclude this already too long video essay, I'd like to mention something. The immersive camera work, which plays a lot with intimacy between us and William. Questions remain. How did we delve into his mind? By the window in the beginning of the video, yes, but how did we get near him in the first place? Whose perspective are we intending to embody? A concerned friend of William who's finally understanding what's going on? A psychiatrist trying to unveil his patient's struggle? His daughter finally understanding the lyrics? A fan of Billy Joel watching this video clip for the first time? Or is it perhaps Billy Joel himself observing his own journey unfold? The answer, my friends, remains open to interpretation.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
come on, Camilla, you can do this. There's not much left. Okay. I'm truly in love with this music video. It's a piece of art full of references and metaphors, beautifully accentuated by its beautiful cinematography. The awesome lighting, the evocative lyrics, and the nuanced performance of certain characters contribute to an already haunting ambiance that characterizes the song. I love it. It's delivered to be some sort of fever dream, and it describes a sentiment of ghost-like paralysis. The character reflects on itself, but he helps us reflect on our own insecurities. Nevertheless, two defaults in Pressure stand out. Firstly, there's the 10-second flashback segment. While it carries significant meaning on paper, its visual execution falls somewhat short. Secondly, the most notable flaw lies in Billy Joel's acting. No need for a professional actor to replace him, just ask him to do less. I check his other video clips and his acting is fine, but his best appearances are the ones where he just sings still. Take for instance Billy Joel's Honesty official video, where he merely sits at the piano and sings.
Such a lonely word. Everyone is so untrue. Honesty is hardly ever heard, and mostly what I need from you.
While I prefer the song Pressure musically because of its radical piano sounds, and while the video clips are complete opposite, his performances in Honesty is so much more memorable. Here, remarkably, this performance really makes me emotional because of its nuanced portrayal of sadness. Only with his eyes and his posture, Billy Joel can express what the song means, and so much more. In Pressure, it's a bit too much for my taste. A less dramatic approach would have been perfect, with close-ups and stuff. Something like this, for example. Regardless, Billy Joel's brilliance as a pianist, singer, and songwriter is undeniable, and I'm genuinely grateful that this video served as an opening to his discography. And he just released a new song, and a new video clip. It's the first time he released a song in 17 years. What are the odds that he releases a song the same day of the release of my documentary about him? But what do I think about it? I feel like I'd have to re-listen to it, but right now I don't know what to think. I like the overall message of the song, but some sentences are way too repetitive. And for someone who's called a piano man, there's barely any piano. I know Billy does not do only piano songs, but still. Also, the video clip uses AI to replicate Billy's younger performances, and while I felt really emotional, especially at the end, it gives an uncanny vibe when the camera is too close.
Too long to turn the lights back on. I'm here right now. Yes, I'm here right now. Looking for forgiveness.
But like a lot of his songs, I prefer the live version, because he did indeed perform it at the last Grammy Awards.
Here before, pacing these halls, trying to talk over the silence. And pride sticks.
Anyway, go listen to the single on your own and let me know what you thought of it. For those eager for more of his work, I particularly recommend exploring the playlist of his greatest hits on Apple Music. It's possible that you'll stumble upon one or two tracks that resonate just as profoundly as this one did for me. There's some really cool gems. My personal favorites are Honesty, Baby Gran, The Stranger, Vienna, and Moving Out. Music can distract us and entertain us, but Pressure gave me a complete view of what it feels like to be trapped by our own anxieties.
And it was a labor. It was a labor of love, but it was exhausting. I think by the end of making this album, I felt like I had almost died. It was just a great deal of work. And I consider this maybe my best.
I'm taking a Greyhound on the Hudson River line. I'm in a New York state of mind. I've seen all the movie stars in their fancy cars and their limousines. Been high in the Rockies, under the evergreens. I know what I'm needing, and I don't want to waste more time. I'm in a New York state of mind. It was so easy living day by day, out of touch with the rhythm and blues. But now I need a little give and take. The New York Times, the Daily News. Comes down to reality, and it's fine with me, 'cause I've let it slide. Don't care if it's Chinatown or on Riverside. I don't have any reason, left them all behind. I'm in a New York state of mind. Touch with the rhythm and blues. But now I need a little give and take. The New York Times, the Daily News. Whoa. It comes down to reality. Fine with me, 'cause I've let it slide. I don't care if it's Chinatown or on Riverside. I don't have any reason, I left them all behind. I'm in a New York state of mind. River line. 'cause I'm in a New York